You're fine. Welcome to Kaysville City Council meeting. Today is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. We appreciate having people in the audience, and for those listening online, we appreciate you and your participation as well. The opening tonight will be presented by Councilmember John Adams, who will then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, fabulous to have everybody here. What a crowd. I don't think anybody can see, right? But these are our favorite people. There was a quote that somebody told me just the other day by John Quincy Adams. And I mean, is that kind of self-serving that I'm telling a quote by John Quincy Adams? But I think it's a really cool quote. And the fascinating part about it is that here John Quincy Adams was the consummate, what would you call it, proponent of ending slavery. And as he sat on, after he was president, he sat on, he was in Congress for forever. And one of the things that he did on Congress was he constantly voted or brought up bills that would abolish slavery. And every time he was shot down, and every time that something was brought up abolishing slavery, he would vote for it, and he would be the only one to vote for it. And finally, somebody asked him at a point in time, hey, why do you keep doing that? Like, why do you keep bringing this up? It is effortless, like nothing's going to come of it. And his answer was that duty is ours, results are God's. And I believe that his point that he was trying to make was that it's my duty to continue to do what's right, and I'm putting it in God's hands to eventually see if the results will happen. And the really fascinating thing is that he was on the Congress floor and had just voted against a slavery bill when he had a heart attack or something, whatever happened, and he died right there on the floor. And famously, there was a junior congressman who had really been liking John Quincy Adams and had been fascinated by him, that was on the floor at the same time, and was noted to say something like, hey, Adams is hurt or something's happened. But that person was Abraham Lincoln, who eventually did abolish slavery. And so it's pretty cool to see that throughout time, God did find a path, right? And that Quincy Adams kept his word and kept his duty. Anyway, I'll say a quick prayer and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time as a body of legislators and city staff, neighbors and friends, to thank thee for the beautiful weather that we've had. We would humbly ask thee for more moisture, but are grateful for the sunshine that we have had, and we're grateful for this city that we live in, the freedoms that we share. We're grateful for each other and the city that we live in, the people that take care of each other. We ask thee humbly, Father, to bless all of those in the city who are in need at this time, that they can ask a neighbor and that surely someone will help them. We ask thee to bless our troops that are fighting for our country, and ask that you continue to bless those of us who make the decisions for the city, that we will listen to those who elected us. And we say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for your opening. Appreciate it. Okay, not my ringer. We have call to the public, and we have one individual signed up to speak, Mrs. Lorene Starkey.
You missed me last time because we were in Florida. So we're just wanting you to watch for Artemis 2 because our son-in-law is helping with Artemis 4. I just wanted to, I wasn't planning to speak, but I just noticed that there were some people that were commenting on the electronic meeting provision, and I just wanted to thank you for being here in person, because I think it matters to the public, even if they are not able to attend. We're grateful for you to be able to be in present, and we're grateful that when you chose to run, that you chose to be here. And we are just letting you know that that was put out to me today, and we're just thinking that might be considered, that your constituents might like you to be here. So that's all.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Hey, council, do we have any conflicts of interest to declare? No? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, consent items. Would someone like to make a motion or have a discussion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items A through C.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Item 5A, an ordinance and resolution amending the city grammar code and the FY 2026 consolidated fee schedule related to grammar. Nick, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. It's good to be with you guys tonight. We talked about this at our last meeting, and I'm happy to answer any questions. The only item that I'd like to point out is last time we did talk about waiving the fees under certain circumstances for people that were low income and those kind of things. We looked into that as legal staff, and GRAMA itself, the state statute, has provisions that encourage cities to waive fees as often as possible, with the recognition that these are public records and the public should have access to them. So there's already a waiver process in GRAMA, and just wanted the council to be aware of that. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Yes, Councilmember Hunt.
So you said it was like encouraged. Is that going to be, I guess, a robust enough recommendation that we feel like we would follow that, or are we just saying we will follow that, or?
No, we have waived fees in the past based on that. When we spoke last time, I don't know why I wasn't thinking, because the media, if we get a grammar request from KSL or KUTV or any media outlet, they always request that. And we typically don't for media outlets because they're corporations, but we have had a number of citizens ask in the past, and when they ask, we definitely consider that, and when we can, we grant it.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question for Nick.
Yes.
Yeah, so using the city council as a records appeals board, we kind of discussed that what that would require of the city and city staff and resources. Could you talk about that again a little bit?
Sure, happy to. So the way that the city ordinance had contemplated this is that if there was some kind of grammar disagreement on city records, you would be an appeal authority on that. Mm-hmm. City councils are just not generally designed to be great quasi-judicial officials. It takes a lot of time for staff to prepare the arguments. It puts staff in a kind of an awkward spot to argue against the citizenry in front of council, and it's just a weird dynamic. The state has a records appeal board that is focused strictly on grandma, and they do records appeals all the time. And so the amount of time and effort that it takes for that body to get spun up on the legal framework and the guardrails and things, they're already up to speed on that. And it just feels like a more efficient process to go that way with a process an objective process is approved by the state, a third party, rather than to have the council do it, where legal staff would kind of explain the process and the guardrails, and then also argue for whatever our decision was.
Okay. Yeah, one concern I had was, when requests come in that involve active cases, like with police, and I feel like this state would probably be more equipped to handle the legal aspects of that and the sensitivities around that.
Yeah.
And so, okay.
And if you are the appeal board, if you have an appeal, it has to be a public meeting. And the records appeal board has some other procedures that they don't have to discuss necessarily, air all that dirty laundry necessarily.
Okay.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Ready to entertain a motion?
Mayor, you had someone sign up to speak.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Starkey, you are signed up. You were actually signed up to speak to number 5A. Yes. Did you mean to? Thank you, Anne Marie.
John, I appreciate your comments about John Quincy Adams.
Thank you.
I think what that example is it's a huge thing for all of us to think about the process of having opinions, realizing those around us don't have the same, and yet still proceeding, trying to do what's right. And beautiful example. I'm here to talk about grandma because I feel like there's a lot of citizens in this state that are concerned about grandma. I also recognize that this state may be the leader in the country regarding grandma, which impressed me, okay? That being said, there's still some concerns about changes in any way to decrease access or charge more, or at least put out in the public's mind the more difficulty of pursuing a grant request. So I have an example, but it's not exactly this, but on the December 18th City Council meeting minutes that just got approved, okay? There was an approval for the conservation part of our water. In the minutes, it talks about a letter that was given to the city council and the city. That was my letter. The interesting thing with that little detail was the letter had no details on subject, and it had no implication. It doesn't matter to me. I'm still working, for example, to do conservation in the city. I met with a local neighborhood engineer for 2 hours. We discussed infrastructure and conservation. So I'm not dropping that subject, but it was interesting, and I suppose there's some rule that says all of the things that are given to the city council and mayor can't be in all minutes. I get it, okay? I comprehend that. But on the same time, some things may have a feature that would be helpful to get in front of the public, knowing that most of the public doesn't come and read minutes or come to meetings. Nevertheless, it's kind of an example of a limited information of something, okay? You see what I'm saying? So, thank you.
We
Thank you.
understand and appreciate you. Okay. Item 6A, a discussion regarding
Mayor,
amendment.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
We need a motion on that.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you for your comment. And do we have any other comments? Would someone like to make a motion? On item
I'll
5A.
make a motion that we approve action item 5A, an ordinance and resolution amending the City Grandma Code, Chapter 3, Title 4, and the fiscal year 2026 consolidated fee schedule related to grandma.
I will second that.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Nope. Councilmember Adams.
Yeah, I just, I want to make sure that your voice was heard. The grandma, I think all of us, mayor included, have toiled over making sure that this is not restricting people from any of their rights, more trying to help with the cost of doing business, and where there's so many incidents where, I guess, I was talking to the chief, and he was saying that that Gabby, what is it, Gabby?
The one that was killed?
The gal that ended up being disappeared, Gabby Patino, that they had to hire like an entire, like 5 or so more employees, because literally anybody could request all of the videos with Gabby Patino, like any videos related to her. And it just opened my mind to the vastness of the amount of work that is having to be done with the grandma. And so I think that, having it cost just a little bit extra also prohibits people from just randomly asking for lots of information that requires going through hours and hours of footage. So I will vote when you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay,
I have a
anyone else?
Oh,
Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilmember Adams, because that's what encouraged me to support this. And in here, the provision that says members of the public shall have the right to see, review, examine, and take copies in any format maintained by the city of all city government records defined as public under the provisions of this chapter upon payment and lawful fee. And I agree with you. We run very lean as a city, and as a council, from my perspective, we look for as many opportunities as possible to run more lean, to save on tax dollars, and to help free up staff to do really important business. I wouldn't support this if I was concerned, but I think this really will kind of free up some of our actions, and it doesn't minimize any transparency on the end of the public. So.
For sure, and I'll just add to that, I think it gives an opportunity for a lot more communication between the grandma requestor and those fulfilling it, because they're able to sort of narrow it down more specifically. What exactly are you looking for, so that we can use our time wisely and focus on finding the information, because sometimes the grandma requests are so broad. They want records from 2002 to 2025, and it's about irrigation water or something like that. It's so broad that it's overwhelming. So I think it just allows for more communication and transparency, and that's our goal here. So anyway, any other comments, Councilmember
Can I
Hunt?
say so? Yeah, I kind of just want to echo what's already been said. When I first looked at this, I was concerned, obviously, about transparency, and that's why I brought up the potential to have the waiver. And so I'm glad that that's in there, just in the code in general. And just kind of a reminder that a lot of the requests we get are from like insurance companies and stuff. And so if we keep our rates artificially low, then we're essentially like, what's the word? Oh my gosh.
Subsidizing?
Yes, subsidizing insurance companies, and no one wants to do that. But aside from that, if I felt like this was going to affect transparency, I would have issues with it. But I feel like we've come and tried to come to a good place with it, to where we can, like Mayor said, help people narrow down what they're looking for, and also allow people to request when they need to. So I guess, I don't know, just want to share that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We are ready for motion. We had right?
Motion and second.
Okay, all right. Councilmember Adams.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Motion carries. All right, now we are to item 6A. a discussion regarding amendments to the introductory period for newly hired and promoted employees.
That's me as well.
All right.
This is a change to our policy manual that we're proposing as staff. So the policy manual currently has a probationary period of 6 months, and that works well for, I would say, almost every department. But there are a couple of departments that we've bumped up into problems on this, and primarily it's the police department. It used to be that, like when I graduated from college back in '07, you put yourself through post and then competed for a police job. That has changed significantly, and police departments now are required to, just by market pressures, they have to recruit candidates, they have to agree to pay for their post. Post is 12 weeks, and then, so what we're getting is we're getting employees with basically 2 months left in their probationary period. And that's a really hard time or hard task to evaluate that employee and to see if that employee is meeting the standards that the Kaysville Police Department and Kaysville City as a whole wants to maintain. So we're proposing that under certain circumstances, not all circumstances, but if there's a position or a promotion that requires a lot of training that will take the employee out of the city, so to speak, that department heads be allowed to extend that probation up front. Chief Oberg has dealt with this on a couple of occasions as he and I talked about this amendment. He's dealt with this on a couple of occasions and would just like to have the ability to put these employees on a 12-month probationary period from the start. That's about how long the whole post and FTO process takes. We also, Chief Erickson talked to me a little bit about promoted employees. We don't want to be able to terminate promoted employees. If you've been promoted, there's a sign that you're probably a good employee, but sometimes you're a great X and you're not a great Y. And so we just want to be able to have a little bit of probationary period for those promoted employees as well. Happy to answer any questions.
I think that's a great,
The only question I have is, this is something that would be told to them upfront at their hire time and they would agree upon. It's not
That's-
something that would sneak up to them and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to put you on a 12-month rather than a 6-month.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's how we anticipate it going, is that upon hire, the employee would be told 12 months.
Okay.
If we have a lateral police officer, we don't anticipate putting
Right.
them on 12 months.
Right.
Six months is satisfactory, but a new hire would be 12. And other departments, as they saw the need and as Jason and that department had consulted, they can do that upfront.
Upfront. Okay.
so this isn't just police and fire, this is all employees.
It could technically apply to all employees. We want to keep it open because
Okay, because
Just-
depending on the job title, you might
Yeah,
need a little
exactly.
bit more time, to evaluate. Okay, that makes sense to me. Any other
Yeah, that's great.
questions, comments? Okay, would someone like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we move work item A, a discussion regarding amendments to the introductory period for newly hired and promoted employees to an action item.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? Okay, Councilmember Blackham.
Aye.
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 All right, thank you. Okay, 6B, a discussion regarding amendments to the electronic meeting code.
that's me too, Mayor. I appreciate the public comment that was made earlier about the effort to be here and as it relates to this. I know that from my experience that city council members are always, they always have strong desire to be here in person, interact with their constituents. And this is not an attempt to try and, by the council, I know this wasn't council-driven, this was staff-driven, but this isn't an attempt to let you be wherever during council meetings. This is a really kind of a technical change that we're proposing. Usually when we have people that are participating electronically, it's because I know several of you have participated from vacations and things. It's because we have other people that can't be here and we need a quorum. And state statutes, the state statute on electronic meetings requires that if we have to specify whether the people participating electronically qualify as part of our quorum. If it's silent, then it's presumed that they're not going to be counted as part of the quorum, and if we don't have a quorum, we can't conduct the city's business. So this is just a change, I think it's a technical change, to allow, if you call in or participate electronically, that you would count as part of that quorum. We feel like that's an important change, not to allow the council, and I don't think that council wants to participate from wherever, but if we need somebody to participate electronically and they participate electronically, we'd like them to count as part of the quorum so we can have a meeting.
I have a lot of discussion on this.
Okay, Councilmember Blackham.
Are
Thank
you ready for discussion?
Thanks, Nick.
Okay, so I remember when this was put in, and it was put in because of COVID, and because they figured that we would have to have at least a primary location, because I think the state statute said you had to have a physical location still. I personally think that you shouldn't be, a legislative body should not be conducting a meeting without a quorum present on site, which would mean at least 3 for me. I think it's important because if it's something that's legislative and it's that important, I guarantee the people it affect are going to be in that audience too. Now, I agree that a council member should be able to weigh in on that, and electronically, if they're out of town on vacation, should have the right to have a vote and weigh in on it. But for something as important as a council doing legislative items and things like that, there should be 3 members physically on site here. COVID was something that made it different. That's when this came in, and I'm glad it came back, because it's just, you know, slipped my mind as time gone on, but it should be. I personally feel like with what we do, we should be here to look the people in the faces that when we make the decisions that we make. I'm not saying that there's not circumstances where people are going to be out of town on vacation and they want to be able to have their vote. I agree, you should be able to have your vote, but to actually hold a quorum for the city to conduct business in a public meeting, there should be 3 people here. And if there's not, we can always reschedule a meeting.
Yeah, and that's, I want to just be clear, I don't really have a preference there. We're just, staff's presenting this as an option because of some issues that we've had. I think in the past year, we had a meeting or 2 where we had,
2 people missing.
2 people that were missing, and that creates some real problems. But Councilmember Blackham, your points are perfectly reasonable, and if that's the policy direction the council wants to take, staff is absolutely fine with that.
I will say I'm on a lot of different boards, and like all of us, we all serve in other places as well as we represent the city. And on every other board and commission that I represent, you can still have a quorum virtually. And so I think it's nice to have that option. I guess if it got to the point of being abused or something, we could maybe revisit it, but I really.
You know, in my experience, and the reason I say this so much is I also am involved in other boards that you can do virtually or whatever. It's not the same. It is never the same when you're doing a board meeting or something virtually as it is when people are there in person. And you can kind of get the feel of how what they're really thinking, their emotions. And so I don't like virtual. I can see a virtual meeting for staff members, you know, doing their community development meeting or something, doing it virtually. But a legislative body, I feel like should be there and should be present, because usually the people that it affects are going to be there because it means that much to them. And it's just, I feel. That's how
I agree with you in principle. I guess what I'm saying is when we've had issues like that where we know we've had people out of town, we have postponed those agenda items. If it's a new subdivision, for example, or, you know, a big deal, we've postponed those to other meetings where we do have a quorum. So, you know, whatever you guys think.
Well, I just struggle to see your logic in this one, Councilmember Blackham, with allowing the person to still vote as long as there's a quorum here. You know, like I would see I could see and also discuss and think about the argument of saying that you can't that you can't vote virtually at all.
No, I
But-
think.
but
if
I
you
don't-
want
I
to
guess I
vote,
don't
but
understand
but
it.
I think to hold a quorum for a public meeting, you should have a quorum present. But I think it's very important that, say you're out of town and you feel very strong about an issue on the agenda, that's not worth postponing the agenda for the item for the person who has put that item on the agenda or the reason for it. But I think it's very important that but I don't think that person would feel like they were treated equally and the same with their agenda item had there be one physical person here and 4 people on a remote area. And so I don't like that.
No, I
Well,
see what you're saying.
I can't imagine that ever happening, but I guess it's possible. In the history of my service for the last 10 years-ish, I've never seen that happen, but it could happen. I get that, so.
I have a comment
What do
too.
you think? Yes,
Yeah,
Councilmember?
I completely agree with Councilmember Blackham. I do think this is the most important meeting that we hold, and it would be an injustice to the public, I feel, if we had multiple members, like one person here and the rest of us online. And so I think we definitely need a quorum here, but I also like the idea of having the ability to call in and vote as well. So I agree with Councilmember Blackham on that.
Well, I'm just starting to get a little bit more passionate about the thought of not being able to vote when you're not here. There is an element to when you're absent from the meeting, you don't get the heartbeat of the meeting. You don't get the passion of the folks that are there. But I just tend to think that you either go one way or the other. You either have to say that they can't even vote or.
Is there a sort of a middle ground that we could reach where we say, if we don't have at least 3 people present, then we cancel the meeting, I guess?
Well, yeah, that's how the statute, our city ordinance is written now.
Exactly, so we've never had this issue come up, so I guess,
That's all I'm saying.
I-
Right
I'm o-
now, it says 1 member. I just want, let's have 3 if we got 3 people here, then we can.
but
conduct
I
this.
do like the ability to still be able to call in and say, yeah, I do,
want to be able to
I want to call in, I want to
think-
vote.
I think somebody could book a year in advance, could book
Yeah.
a trip or something, and
Right.
they can't get out of, they can't get their money back, but they have the ability to, get online
Yeah.
and they don't know what's gonna be coming up a year from the time when they book that
Right.
vacation, and they should be able to vote if they're gone.
Right.
And their vote should count. But in order to hold the quorum, to have that vote,
We would need 3
we
people
need 3
present.
people present.
Yeah, I agree.
I would
What's the
agree with that.
problem we're trying to
Yeah.
solve, I guess?
We were just concerned because of those few instances, because we know as staff that you all make a heroic effort to be here as often as you can. We were worried that if there was an important item and people were calling in, we wanted that to count as a quorum. If that's not what the council's direction, which is totally fine, we can leave it as is, and it allows people to call in and vote, but you have to have 3 people present.
Okay,
So if
I
that's
see.
the direction the council wants to go,
Okay.
that's totally fine.
Okay.
And the council can just move to not move this to an action item.
Okay, we appreciate your work on this.
Sure, yeah.
And I get it, but I do think we're in agreement that we feel like we should have at least 3 people here,
That's wonderful.
right? Okay.
We're happy to take
Is
that.
that true? Am
I
reading
think
it
that
right?
sounds right, yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we not move item 6B to a work.
Now,
to
hang
a-
on, you may have to, you
an
probably
action
have to, sorry, point of, I shouldn't have interrupted you. Go, finish your thing.
I'm
sir.
going to make a motion that we do not move item 6B to an action item.
A friendly amendment request,
I'll listen.
you'll allow the listen. My thought is that that we have to do something if we're even going to allow the people to be able to call in and vote. So I would think,
You already can call in and vote.
That's already in
Yeah.
the city ordinance.
That's our status quo.
I digress. I respectfully remove my request and second your motion.
Fantastic. All right, any discussion? Okay, council member, McBride.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you, Nick, for that work. All right, council member reports. Does anyone have anything to share? As far as your council assignments, what you've done this week?
I can talk about the legislature.
Sure,
Yeah.
go for it.
I'll tell you what, I still got to give a shout out to the Utah Leagues of Cities and Towns because the work they have done. I mean, at this time, Monday last year, at the time of the session where Monday was, there was over 600 bills. This year, there are over 700 bills. And if we didn't have the league that was pointing out the issues, because I was trying to read one, it was 3,000 lines long, and the changes were just maybe on the line 1,500 and 2,500, but they were ones that would affect us. And if somebody didn't bring that up, so I'm going to give them a shout out. They're working hard. Tammy's up there working hard. Nate's up there working. Everybody
You are.
is trying to get.
John is, yeah.
And John, everybody's
Abby.
really
Yeah, everyone's-
trying to do what they can to make sure that we get our say on these bills. And so it gets back to the legislators, whether they're good for us or bad for us. And granted, if they're a good bill, we'll support them. If they're not, we'll oppose them. And if they're just cleaning up language, then it's just position pending, we don't really care. I mean, there's a lot of things that have to get done. But the work that league does is unbelievable for the 45 days of the session that they spend and all the bills they go through and all the first amendment, second amendment, the first reading, the second reading, so
Yeah.
it's a busy process up there. It's interesting. I just hope that you can stay with it because there's no way you can read them all.
Well, and over 700 bills already, which is absolutely insane.
It is.
It is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
So, and as a city, we support bills that expand our rights and ability to make our own decisions, and we oppose things that limit that. And unfunded mandates are huge, and rate increases are huge that don't go through a process that's very transparent. So appreciate everyone paying attention to all of those things.
Hey, Mayor?
Yes.
Can I add to
Yes.
Councilmember Blackham's point?
Please.
The executive director of the league emailed myself, and I think some of us, or all of us, last night and then this morning asking for our input on a bill before they go in with the lobbyists. And our city, we gave a very strong response back to protect city rights. And so, yeah, that interaction, the fact that they would reach out and get our input, they do that with all cities. I'm just very impressed, and it helps us to know where to put our focus as well, so.
I appreciate you saying that. And I know that the National League of Cities is the larger organization, and some people have very strong opinions about them. They do tend to be a little bit much differently run than our local chapter. But our legislature listens to them, to us locally. They'll say, how does the league feel about this, bill? And if it's a no, it's killed. We're pretty successful in killing that bill. We're making significant changes to it. And so, and there are our lobbyists basically, and they represent us, and they do a good job. So appreciate that. And appreciate all the time it takes. I mean, Mike reads every single one of them. I swear he's really well versed on these, and Jason keeps track of these things, and so does Nick. And so we just have a great team up here, and we're grateful for everybody and everyone's help. As far as council announcements, I don't think we have anything. We have a conference in April, and other than that, I think we're good. Jason, what would you like to share?
And I'll add to that, Mayor, regarding the work the league does, and shout out to Chief Wilberg as well. He sits on 3 committees. He's down at the Capitol 3 days a week, looking through all those bills that have to do with justice and reform, and so that's a huge effort that he's making. So a couple of items. Last November, we had a strategic planning session, and There was kind of a straw poll taken on what to do with the fire station and the library. I think the straw poll on both those items was, let's move forward with trying to put those on the November ballot. But I know we've had some additional discussions since then, including the last work session on the budget a couple weeks ago. We'd like to put on next council meeting's agenda a work item on the fire station, just to kind of once again go over the GeoBond process there, the reasons why we need a fire station on the west side, and then probably most importantly now, we haven't really gotten into the cost breakdown. And I know we kind of touched on that a little bit at our budget work session a couple weeks ago, but we'll plan on putting that on next meeting's agenda to kind of go through some of that stuff. And then our hopeful outcome on that would be, again, we took a straw poll at the work session, but now that we're in a formal meeting, we'd like to kind of move forward with what is the council's position on this? Do we have, can there be a motion made hopefully at the next meeting that the council can say, let's go ahead and move forward in this direction? We're starting to spending money on education materials and things like that, and looking at doing some basic design schematics as well to show the public. So before we get too far down that road, we just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And then likewise with the library, probably the next meeting after that, March 5th, we'd do a similar work item on the library to see where the council sits on what to do with that item. So that's our plan there. And then also regarding next council meeting, the 19th, that is picture day. So we'll put out a reminder to everybody, but wear your best for, the pictures. That's all. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, do we need a motion to go into a closed session? I believe we do. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we move into a closed session.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, public residents, we appreciate you being here, and we'll excuse ourselves.